Good day, I'm Theodore Henry, and this is your JIS News for Friday, November 21, 2025. Updated assessments for the physical damage caused by Hurricane Melissa reveal that the figure is about 41% of Jamaica's gross domestic product (GDP) for the last fiscal year. Assessments are still underway, but newly revealed estimates from the World Bank is a staggering $8.8 billion, with the economic fallout yet to be calculated. The figure was presented by Country Director for the Caribbean countries at the World Bank, Lilia Borunchiuk, during a media briefing at Jamaica House on Wednesday. She described the scale of destruction as unprecedented and stressed that recovery would require a massive, coordinated national effort.
This number assumes only physical damage. The economic damage will, of course, be also large, and often from our experience, it's even larger than the physical damage. But this will be estimated later when the dollar assessment is completed. Parishes of St. Elizabeth, St. James, Westmoreland experienced the worst damage, and these three parishes account for a total of $5.5 billion, or 63% of the country's total damage.
The World Bank's assessment focused on four categories: residential, non-residential, infrastructure, and agriculture. It found that damage to residential buildings amounts to $3.7 billion, while non-residential buildings is $1.8 billion. Infrastructure damage is about $2.9 billion, while the agriculture sector is dealing with $389 million in loss.
The total estimated damages exceed any recent historical event. This means that the recovery will be an enormous and long-term task. It will require a well-coordinated strategic approach to ensure speed, efficiency, and transparency, and a whole of society effort from local institutions, the private sector, and from communities.
The government is now transitioning from aid delivery to economic reactivation as it focuses on re-establishing the traditional supply chain in the affected zones. Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness says entities to be assisted include retailers, small shops, local distributors, and private logistics providers. Support will be in the form of microgrants and working capital support for small businesses to restock.
Minister Hill has been tasked with doing this. He has so far identified 48 business entities in 2 of the affected parishes. They are seeking to expand that rapidly. And we will, through the program that I have announced, provide through a loan the facility. These are profit-making entities, the facility for them to stand up their operations so that they can have electricity, they could get a refrigerator, we could help them with a Starlink, or maybe their roof is off, we could help them restart. So there is that facility where it's either a grant or a loan, and that is being worked out.
Dr. Holness provided the details during a comprehensive update on Hurricane Melissa recovery efforts on Wednesday. He also stressed that the government was looking to restore purchasing power in affected commercial zones. This will be done through mechanisms such as digital payments and cash transfer systems, as well as vouchers for food and other essentials. Targeted support will be given for vulnerable households and displaced families. The government will be setting up a high-level public-private advisory board for the newly announced National Reconstruction and Resilience Authority, NARA. It will include persons from civil society, technical personnel, and multilateral and overseas partners.
It will be a multi-stakeholder board that will ensure that we are making the right decisions, there's transparency and accountability, but more importantly, in the info disaster that is going on, we will need voices other than the government to explain some of the decisions that we will have to make.
Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness says the government will also establish an inter-agency coordinating committee which will ensure that decisions are made swiftly by the heads of executing entities. International engineering, procurement, and construction and program management partners will also be engaged. The Prime Minister says NARA will serve as proof of concept for a more agile, performance-driven model of public administration.
The government will develop the program, they will carry it through some kind of public investment appraisal, and then they will go to procurement to find the contractor, and then they'll find the contractor, then they end up into contracting, and then they start to do construction. What we want is to engage with one single entity that can take the entire project from an enterprise scale and deliver it.
The recently reopened cruise ship pier in Ocho Rios is poised to play a critical role in helping Jamaica recover economically from Hurricane Melissa. That's the position of Chairman of the Port Authority of Jamaica, PAJ, Alok Jain. The port had been out of full operation since February 2024, when a severe weather event caused the cruise ship to repeatedly collide with the berth, inflicting major structural damage and forcing its closure. Mr. Jain says the extensive rehabilitation that followed was not only aimed at restoring functionality, but also at increasing the port's resilience. This, he stresses, will be needed now, as areas like Ocho Rios must intensify efforts to stimulate economic activity as other parts of the island are being rehabilitated.
When Ocho Rios was down, a lot of the business from here went to Falmouth, right? And the Falmouth business picked up. Now it's flipped back the other way, right? So it shows the value in having diversity and having multiple ports, multiple berths. Every time we have damage as a result of weather event, we have to look to build back better and stronger.
Consumer prices rose by 0.7% in October 2025, according to new data from the Statistical Institute of Jamaica, Statin. The agency says all prices were collected before Hurricane Melissa. The main driver of the increase was the food and non-alcoholic beverages category, which went up 1.5% due to higher prices for items such as sweet potato, tomato, carrot, and cabbage. The housing, water, electricity, gas, and other fuels category also rose by 0.8%, mainly because of higher electricity rates. But as petrol prices declined, the transport category fell by 0.3%. Statin says point-to-point inflation for October 2024 to October 2025 was 2.9%, influenced by increases in food, housing and utilities, and restaurant services. The Consumer Price Index, CPI, tracks changes in the average prices consumers pay for goods and services. The Ministry of Education is moving to rebuild the school stock stronger than before. The effort will place major emphasis on constructing more resilient facilities following the extensive damage to many schools during Hurricane Melissa. Portfolio Minister Dr. Dana Morris-Dixon shared the update with JIS News during a recent tour of affected schools in Trelawney and St. James. She says the long-term strategy includes upgrading building standards, improving drainage systems, and reinforcing utility infrastructure to reduce future vulnerabilities and ongoing maintenance costs.
We cannot build back what we had before. It has to be better. We can't just put Band-Aids on. I'm not into the Band-Aids. It has to be a complete different look at our schools. We have to reimagine the schools. Because last year, some of the schools that I went to today were affected by Hurricane Beryl, and we spent millions of dollars fixing them. And then this year, we're back at it again.
In the meantime, the Education Minister is commending Ground Force Humanitarian Aid for delivering critical support to hard-hit communities in eastern St. James. The non-profit, which trains volunteers for natural disaster response, has been operating out of the Montego Bay Convention Center. Founder and Chief Executive Officer of Ground Force Humanitarian Aid, Rob Gaudette, says the group has been helping affected Jamaicans clean their homes and distributing a wide range of food items.
I want to say thank you for having us here in Jamaica to help. One of the things we do well is we call it the last mile. We're not skilled labor. You don't need a special skill to do what we do. We're doing things like cleaning up homes and packing food, and the last mile is the people where we look the victims in the eye and we're providing, if nothing else, than a hug or a light or water. You don't need a skill to do that.
Minister Dana Morris-Dixon thanked the group and, noting the involvement of young people in their work, called for greater youth involvement all across the recovery network, especially as the country celebrates November as Youth Month.
As a minister responsible for youth, it is so great to see these young people They actually have jobs. They work in the hotel industry, and they come on their day off to help other Jamaicans who need that help. And that's how we are going to build our country. It's one young person at a time giving their service to those who need it most.
The Rural Agricultural Development Authority, RADA, is calling on Jamaicans living on the eastern side of the island to begin exploring vertical and container farming as a sustainable way to boost food production. The call comes in response to widespread damage to major farming communities from Hurricane Melissa. Senior Plant Health and Food Safety Officer at RADA, Francine Webb, is urging residents in Kingston and eastern parishes to take proactive steps towards food self-sufficiency.
Everybody have to go back to planting something in your yard, because it's going to get a little tight before things get better. Container gardening is something that we have been pushing for a while as well. So you don't have the space, but you can do the thing on your backyard, on the back porch with containers in the yard as well. And so those are the things that we're going to have to embrace more and more now, because we're going to have to start doing something. Everybody has to start doing something.
And finally, Transport Minister Darrell Vaz is expressing deep sadness after a 10-year-old student died in an incident involving a JUTC bus. The incident took place in the Vineyard Town community on Thursday. In a statement, the minister says he has been in direct contact with the JUTC to ensure full support for the family and a thorough investigation. Minister Vaz offered condolences, saying the nation was mourning with the child's relatives, schoolmates, and teachers. He says the government remains committed to road safety and notes that all JUTC buses and drivers are trained to meet strict safety standards. Those systems, he says, will be fully reviewed as part of the probe. Minister Vaz is appealing for calm as the police continue their investigations. And that's it for JIS News Today. I'm Theodore Henry. Thanks for watching.